What's up? What's up? I don't know. Alright, that's the end of that eyebrow thing. Hey, it's Prosecutor Godot here. And today I will be doing top albums of 2016 so far. Top 5. Or top 5 releases of the year so far. Because I'm including like EPs. There are no EPs on this list, but if there was a good EP this year that I heard, then I would have listed it. But yeah, so here are my top 5 albums of 2016 for me. My list, not your list. Yeah, but I'll explain why I like them. And if you have a top 5 list, don't forget to share them in the comments. So I got my script. So I'm going off the script. So number 5 is Santana with Santana IV. So this is a long time coming. This was a reunion album, 40 years in the making. Michael Shreve, Michael Carabello, Carlos Santana, Greg Rowley, and Neil Sean. Michael Shreve's on the drums, Michael Carabello's on percussion, Santana's on guitar, Neil Sean's also on guitar, and Greg Rowley is on vocals and keyboards. So there are also other members in this band, but these are the only members that came back together, So this lineup was originally in 1971 and 1972 for Santana III, and so they're coming back 40 years later for Santana IV. Back at that time, I think some of the members like Neil, Sean, and Greg Rowley got together to form Journey, the pop rock band that we all know from Don't Stop Believin'. And yeah, so I was really excited about this because I got into Santana when I was young. I mean, from Smooth. Everyone knows Smooth and The Game of Love. I really like those two songs. Like, Smooth was like my rock song of all time when I was like 10 to 12 years old. And then I dived back into their solo stuff. I dived back into like their first two albums, and I liked those. And then I dived into the third and fourth, Santana III and Caravanserai. And I like those too. And so I was like waiting with bated breath for this album to come out, and I'm pretty happy with what I got. It's not bad stuff. It harks back to that old sound, that self-titled debut sound. Latin rock, got like a little salsa stuff mixed in there, jazz a little bit, and rock and roll. That's what Santana's style is. It's that blend, and I still think they play that sound very well, that well-known, well-worn sound very well. Sorry, maybe you can't see my face. Oh yeah, check out my t-shirt. Whoa, awesome orchestra. Check that out too. Okay, so the opening track, Yambu Yambu, could have been a B-side from the self-titled Santana debut. Another cut, Sueños, sounds a lot like Samba Pati off of the sophomore album of Abraxas. And yeah, so some people get, me personally, if you know me, over the past couple years, after I've gotten like more musically mature, listen to more music, I've gotten to the point where I want my favorite artist to like keep progressing and changing and stuff. But I guess I'm not too angry though that Santana's retreading the same waters, because one, they're really old band. These are old people. I don't really expect them to like make a sudden change in sound and stuff. You'd expect that from the young people. But another reason why is just because, well, this sound is so good. It's so different from what you hear on the radio and what's in the mainstream nowadays. It's it's special enough at this time and place, and people need to hear this kind of sound, I think. And while this isn't a bad album, I have some problems with it. Remember how Billie Joe Armstrong, Green Day, was singing lyrics about falling in love and wooing girls back in 2012 on the Uno Dos Tres trilogy? Well, Santana IV kind of does the same thing, but it's even worse. And look at Billie Joe Armstrong was 40 years old when that came out. So imagine a 40-year-old guy trying to pick up girls. And now it's even worse on Santana IV because Greg Rowley is 60 years old. Over 60 years old. He's 60-something. So it's like your grandpa trying to pick up girls. Like, that's just not cool, man. So that's one aspect I have, the lyrics. One problem I have. One interesting thing about this album is that they got Ronald Isley of the Isley Brothers to sing on a couple tracks. I would have never thought Santana and Ronald Isley would come together and do a collaboration. So while that was cool to see at first, when I finally heard it though, it was not that good. Ronald Isley's voice is just very old now, and it's so light and like feathery, like and then it's like put on top of these like hard rock instrumentals, or not hard rock but rock and roll instrumentals, and it doesn't really work for me. And Greg Rowley's voice, while he's not the youngest guy and his voice sounds a little old, it hasn't aged as badly as Ronald Isley's voice, so it works better. But yeah, if you're a Santana fan, I would check this album out because the instrumentals are still quite solid, very solid still. Carlos Santana can still play the guitar even though he's 70. And it's 70 minutes of material, and I feel like if it was cut down to like 40 minutes, it would have been a pretty really solid album. But because it's 70 minutes, it has a lot of filler, and so it's like I said, it's at number 5. It's also because I'm a huge fan. That's why they made it on this list. Yeah, congrats to Santana. And my number 4 pick is Death Grips, Bottomless Pit. And so this is the latest album from the Sacramento Trio. These guys have made some of the most mind-bending hip-hop of the past decade. You should have definitely heard them by now if you're like a music person. Where have you been if you never heard Death Grips? Besides hip-hop though, they blend. Their music is a blend of hip-hop with punk, metal, rock and roll, and catchy hooks. Catchy hooks. So I'm a pop guy, and I think that's what really draws me to Death Grips, is the fact that they have this pop sensibility while being super aggressive and abrasive. There are a lot of reasons to like Death Grips. Okay, but if you never heard of Death Grips, first thing you have to know is that the MC, screams at the top of his lungs into the microphone. He's just yelling his rhymes. But it fits with the music because, as I said, it's very abrasive. Death Grip is also industrial and experimental music. And while I'm not an expert in that type of music, it's safe for me to say that without Death Grips, I would not even consider venturing into that experimental abyss. Like, after listening to Death Grips, like, I'm now willing, like, it's sort of like I've been dunked into cold water, dumped into the icy cold water, and now I'm like sort of used to it. And now like I feel more comfortable to dive into other experimental music. And it's kind of funny, like some music that I've heard from other people that they are like these other bands are experimental, but when I listen to them, it's like, wow, this is like so tame compared to Death Grips. That's just like a side note. But anyways, on this album, they're going back to the sound of The Money Store, which is my favorite release by them, their debut album on Epic Records. They're going back to this like poppy, like really catchy hooks with like short songs, punky hip hop. One of my favorite tracks is Trash. We upload trash. Probably because they just keep repeating the hook over and over. Yeah, but I really would compare this album to In Rainbows by Radiohead, because I feel like Death Grips is reaching this point in their career, a really short career, but they've already reached this point where I think they're really starting to enjoy themselves as rock stars, enjoy themselves as like this celebrity music figures. Because it just sounds like they're like just being more playful and not like being like super serious, about their music, and just sort of just relaxing a bit, just starting to open up and just have fun with the music they're making, like Radiohead did on In Rainbows and King of Limbs. So yeah, it's good stuff. It's not a bad place to start with Death Grips if this is your first time. As I said, they're punky hip hop, and it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be aggressive. Check that out. Now, number 3 on my list. If you watched my previous videos, you know I love this guy. It's Kendrick Lamar with Untitled, Unmastered. So Kendrick Lamar, rapper from little old Compton, California, giving us some B-sides from the To Pimp a Butterfly sessions. Last year, he put out To Pimp a Butterfly. A lot of people love that record, and so here's some like leftovers, if you will, from those sessions recording To Pimp a Butterfly. So unlike Section 80, Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly, this is not really an album where you need to sit down and really listen to what Kendrick is saying. It's more of just a fan project, kind of. It's for the fans who really just want to hear Kendrick do more stuff. As Dead End Hip Hop said, shout out to Dead End Hip Hop. You just kind of they just want to sit back and relax, and that's exactly how I felt. I didn't really want to think about this album, just enjoy the music, and just not have to think about it too hard. And that's it's really cool what Kendrick did here. It's so different. I can't think of any other artist right now that's just it's oh, here's this album, here you go, fans, I love you guys, just sit back and relax with this thing. What artist does that now? What hardcore serious artist does that? I don't know. So I really like that aspect of this album. So it's just something you can sit back and chill to, and not something I feel I have to study up on and really dig deep into. And I'm happy. It's a bit of an oasis on this journey that Kendrick is taking us all on. If you're a hip hop fan, if you haven't heard this yet, um, I would go back to Section 80 or Good Kid, Mad City or to Pimp a Butterfly first before listening to this. But yeah, it's pretty good, man. If you like Kendrick, where have you been, man? Where are you? You need to hear this. There's nothing I can really say to add to what Dead and Hip Hop already said. My favorite track is probably Untitled 7. Levitate. It's so catchy. Untitled 2 is also good. If you want to try getting into hip hop, I always thought it was trashy music about money, hoes, and violence. You should check Kendrick Lamar out. So, the final two. Top two. Top two, man. So, I was really struggling with these. I was struggling which one to put over which one. Because I like them both, but for different reasons. So one album I feel is super. Every song is just good. Every song is good. And the other album, it's like there are like three or four standout tracks, and the others are like they're like okay to like above average songs. But the 3 or 4 are like really great. So I was really deciding which one. But I eventually settled on The Way I Have It, as you'll see. They're both already in my top 100 albums of all time. I haven't listened to a lot. Okay, don't don't hurt me. The order I have them now, it might change in the future. In essence, they're tied for first. If you've been paying any attention to music this year, like you'll know what these two albums are. No, neither of them are Kanye. But for every top albums of 2016 list you'll see this year at the end in December, for all of them, I bet you that all of them will have at least one of these two in the top 5. I bet you. Every single list. So yeah, they really are the two most hyped albums of this year so far, except for Kanye, besides Kanye. So here they are. Number 2 is Beyonce's Lemonade. Here it is, Relationship Album of the Year. So this is the album where every song is like catchy and is this pop magic. It's pop magic that Beyonce has brought on this album. It's a super diverse album. Like there's FKA Twigs inspired songs, there's James Blake inspired songs, there's a country song, there's a hard rock song. There's like electronically tinged songs, but they're all connected by the common thread of Jay-Z's supposed infidelity with Beyonce. That's the storyline. And yeah, you should know Jay-Z and Beyonce are probably the biggest couple in music right now. And this album is about how apparently Jay-Z had an affair and how Beyonce is mentally dealing with this. I love pop, and I love socially conscious, aware music, positive music. And this is a hearty helping of both. Beyonce's emotions and strong personality shine through on each and every track. And I think with this album, she's really become one of my favorite mainstream artists. And I highly recommend this album if you like pop music. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be checking this out. Buy it on iTunes. Since she's having like this thing where she doesn't stream it, for free. You know, don't be one of those people who's like, oh, Beyonce, she's so rich. You know, like, why should I support her? She's already so rich. I ain't supporting her. I need to support smaller artists. Well, okay, I guess I support, you know, the idea of supporting smaller artists. But if you just want to support good music, then please support this. There's no reason not to. It's good music. You have my badge of you have my what's the word? You have my support for this album, and you know, I really want her to go all out for the next album. If you support this album, she'll know that her listeners want more of this. And yeah, I would love to see her create this level of artistry again. And of course, album of the year is David Bowie's Blackstar. Pretty sure that's no surprise. This album has simply the best vibe of any record this year. This album is about Bowie coming face to face with his own death, his own mortality, you know, his life, and you know, all the accolades and fame he's received, and just how people like see him. It's all about that, and it just has like this sense that like really like death, like, you know, the dark looming fog of death is like right in front of your face. It really feels like you left your body and you're floating up in space. You know, you're seeing the earth beneath you, and it's really a pretty cool experience to listen to it. But most of all, probably like you would feel most of all you probably feel sad, but you feel like weirdly empty and sad. But there's also anger, relief, love. That's what this album's about, man. From one of rock music's legends. The music is quite surprising itself, coming from David Bowie, because David Bowie is usually this glam rock guy. But on this album, he kind of delves into some jazz and electronic synths, and it works. Of course, if you haven't checked this album out, please do. With the mindset that Bowie was never scared of death, but saw it as maybe an old friend. So thank you everybody for listening to me and ramble and rant about these 5 albums. They're all good. Check them out. Thank you for watching. I enjoyed these albums a lot. And please subscribe or like leave your comments below what I can do to improve myself. And Prosecutor Godot. I'm thinking of shortening my name, but I can't think of what to shorten it to. Prosecutor Godot signing out.